Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good day at Summit and enjoying some interesting sessions. I'm here to introduce Sven Peters. Sven is a former developer that about 7 years ago switched over to the dark side to a marketing director. And he's here to talk to you today about the secret sauce of successful teams. Let's welcome Sven to the stage.
Thank you, Kimball. Thanks. All right. Just to get started, I'm working now for K50 Software, but I've been working for Atlassian for 7 years and recently changed teams. And all this, what you hear today, is from my experience at Atlassian, how we running teams at Atlassian. Still calling us we, so you have to get used to it. Anyway, so if you talk about successful teams, I mean, successful teams are made of successful people. People like these people you want to have in your teams, right? They really drive your teams forward. People like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, or Mark Zuckerberg. Do you really want those in your teams? Steve Jobs, inventor of the Macintosh, right? Well, not right. Actually, it was his team that did all the hard work. It was not Steve alone. I mean, he maybe pushed the team, but it was his team that actually did the work. Or Elon Musk revolutionized the electrical car industry. But it was not just him. I mean, he had a big team, and they all pushing Tesla forward to live the future of car. Or Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, okay, Mark maybe have written a lot of lines of code in the beginning for Facebook, but it was his team that inspired him to come up with all the cool ideas. But what makes the difference between a good team, and you probably have that in your organizations too. You have some good teams that are there, and the real great ones, and you have that too. Some great teams that you know, this team is really hitting the ball home. These are really the people that I can give a project and they run with it and they succeed. So what makes a difference? And not just us at Atlassian, we wanted to figure it out, but also Google, for example. They did a big survey internal in Google and wanted to find the difference between teams. Why do some teams succeed always and some teams not? So they looked at teams and team structures, and they found teams that are pretty structured teams. For example, Team A here. It's a pretty structured team. They know their shit. They have for everything, they have processes in place. If they do a meeting, they stop 5 minutes before the end of the meeting and say, yeah, now we're wrapping up and we're taking tasks and we go and work and we meet again tomorrow. And then you have a team like Team B. Totally chaotic. They don't have processes. They just jump from A to B, and they just if they run a meeting, they always run over. They get kicked out of the meeting room. You know these teams. So successful teams. Well, what Google found out that Team A can be a successful team as well as Team B can be a successful team. So processes and that things that doesn't really make the difference between high-performance teams and normal performance teams. So but then at the end, they really looked deeper into teams, and they really found what makes teams high-performance teams. What's the difference here between those teams? And they found out that these team members, they actually talk to each other. So these team members in high-performance teams, they talk to each other. But not only that, and more important, they listen also to each other. They respect each other. They can express themselves. They can be themselves in their teams, or how Google called it then at that time, psychologically safety. So they are acting in a very, very safe place, and they listen to each other, they respect each other, they talk to each other. So this is the core of high-performance teams, if you call it so. But there is also some other stuff you have to watch out, and this is what this talk is about. Have the right structure in your team. This is one thing. Then share the same mindset in your team, that you think along the same lines, that you get support from the rest of the organization. You're not the only team in your organization, and you probably need some support from other teams in your organization, so how do you get that? And then have a compelling direction. And these 4 things are actually my ingredients for high-performance teams. A compelling direction, a supportive context, a strong structure, and a shared mindset. And I go through these in this talk. So let's get started. Compelling direction. How do you give teams a compelling direction? Okay, if I've been a team lead, as Kendall said, for a developer team a long time, and I experienced something like that in my former company before I joined Atlassian, and it looked like a little bit like this. People were coming to my desk and saying, "Hey Sven, you know, Project A is the most important thing that we have to work on for this year." And then another person came and said, no, it's Project B. Project B is the real cool shit that drives the company forward. And then people in my team said, well, we have to refactor, we have to get a new technology stack, otherwise we're stuck in this technology stack. So you know this, you are dragged into different directions, right? And you don't know what's important anymore. What is it? What your team really needs is this. It's a North Star. Somewhere where you're actually heading, something where you're heading to. So giving your team a North Star. And that's what we did for a long time at Atlassian, and we called it the 2-year vision. So as Atlassian, where do you want to be in 2 years? So we set out the vision for that and give that as the company North Star. This is where we're heading. Everything that is not in that direction, we probably have to rethink if it's worth doing. And under this vision that we have, we define some what we call themes. And themes are pretty stable things. They stay. It's like getting great support, having great development, and all this stuff. So these are really themes that stay stable that we defined. And under these themes, we defined some focus areas. And focus areas keeps us focused on a specific thing that we want to reach in 1 year. So this is really something that we probably we said a few years ago. Okay, we want to do more for our big customers that relies on our products. We call that enterprise. So we want to have an initiative that calls enterprise. So we developed Data Center at that time, and then actually we had premium support. So it's a whole organization. We went into the enterprise direction. So this was a focus area. Once we started with it, it was great. So we didn't need to have that as a focus area for the next year. But this really gave us the direction. So if people come to us and say, hey, Project B is most important, then we look, is that part of one of our focus areas? No? Okay, sorry. We have to focus on the focus area. This is really what counts for the company. And of course, you need some measurements. So you need to know how success should look like. So define some measurements and measure it throughout the year to see, do we reach our goals? And this, what we called is Vision Theme Focus Area Measurement. We called VTFM. And this was really our North Star. We recently stopped doing that, but at that time it was the best thing for us to stay focused, to move the whole company into one direction. Now, you might say, okay, Sven, you know, we are agile, and these are just yearly plans that you come up with, right? Yeah, that's yearly. And then also, it's for the whole company. I'm just a team lead, or I'm just in a team, so how do you define that on the team level, right? So yearly, bad, we're agile, we are very, we adapt pretty fast, and then company, we want to have that on the team level. So there's also something that we do on a team level, and we're still doing that at Atlassian, and this called OKR. And OKR is a system that I think got invented by Intel, and Google used it too, and that really keeps us focused. So OKRs is objectives on one side, and under each objective you define some key results. So just to give you an example, an objective could be like people want to view the project status on a mobile phone. So an objective should have a customer relation, so a benefit for the customer. So this is the objective, and as a key result we define then, okay, we just want to have 1,000 daily users. And then at the end of a quarter, because we define that quarterly, we measure the daily users, and then we have 700 daily users, let's assume that. And then we score with 0.7. So we missed our goal, right? No, we didn't, because these goals are actually stretch goals. They should stretch us. So everything between 0.7 and 0.9 is fine, is good, goal achieved. If you have just 1.0s in your key results, your goals weren't ambitious enough. You should have ambitious goals that drive you forward. So these are really goals that if you do everything and we are lucky and everything is happening, then we can reach that. So OKRs, you define stretch goal. We do them quarterly, and quarterly gives us a good cadence of give the team stability for 3 months. They know what they're working on. On the other side, it gives us also the flexibility to just change those goals frequently. And then also less is more. If you have 3, 4 objectives, that's way enough for a team. Maybe just have 2 objectives and then each with 2 key results. That's way enough. We know that daily stuff comes up, but these are the bigger things that we capture in OKRs. And we also make them transparent. So in our Confluence instance, you can go in, search for OKR FY17, for example, and then you can see all the OKRs that we had in FY17, the design team's OKR, Helen's OKRs, and you can really see what the team next door, what their goals is, so you could see and align your goals to the team next door, so you're not doing things in 2 different teams, but doing that, actually align your goals. If you want to learn more about OKRs, there's a session by Otto. You saw him today on the keynote stage. Fail to plan, plan to fail, goal settings with OKRs. It's tomorrow at 11:20. All right, so this gives you a compelling direction. How do you build a strong, structured team? How do you set your team together? How do you assemble your high-performance teams? Because if you look for product teams that we have at Atlassian, we are kind of different. So developers and designers, we don't speak the same language. So we laugh about different jokes. For example, developers would laugh about, why do engineers confuse Halloween and Christmas? Because Oct 31 equals Des 25? Okay, some developers are here. Great, thank you. But designers don't laugh about that. Yeah, right. They maybe laugh about Comic Sans walks into a bar. The bartender says, we don't serve your type here. A developer and a designer here, Billy. Okay, great. Anyway, so we don't speak the same language. We don't laugh about the same jokes. So we need to define a common language to get common ground, right? And what should we do? Yeah, we use Jira. We define the design task on one side, give it to the designers working on it. Design task is finished, and the developers take over, right? No, of course not. We shouldn't do that. Stop that. Forget that again. That's like living in the old days where programmers, designers, ops people are totally working separately and we just communicate over Jira. That's not working. Think about shooting a movie and have the director and the light people in different rooms and the actors. Not working. Not a good idea. We create a movie together, and also we create products together. So we should sit together in one team. And that's what we do at Atlassian is that we have cross-functional teams. So not just developers sitting in the team, there are designers, product managers, testers, you name it, analysts or whatever. All in that team, whatever you need, is in one team that we assemble. That doesn't mean that you just belong to one team. For example, if the tester is not needed for a sprint or so, he can or she can go to another team and help those teams. Or the designers, for example, we want to have a consistent design over all our products. So they sit together maybe 2 days a week, the designers, and then go back to their teams. So you have also a bigger design team, but each designer belongs, or product designer belongs to a certain cross-functional product or feature team. And cross-functional teams are great. Cross-functional teams are great because, you know, the information flows, everyone understands each other. If you have seen the keynote yesterday from Mr. Snow, he talked about the same thing about diversity of thought or cognitive diversity, and you get the same understanding for what you're building and why you're building it that way if you sit together in one team. And this really makes your products or your services faster, you can make faster decisions and make them stronger, and you can have stronger decisions because everyone agrees that is sitting on the team. If you want to learn more about cross-functional teams, there's also a deep dive session for that. It's a session by Ben Mackey, bridging cross-functional teams with Atlassian, how you bridge between cross-functional teams. Now, let's assume we have the great team together. Now we want to really bond the team, right? So how do we bond the team? We have some routines. So something that we do day in, day out. For example, at Atlassian, some teams are doing a fika. You might say, what is that? Actually, there was a developer coming from Sweden, and he said, oh, let's have a fika together. And I said, what is a fika? Fika turns out it's a Swedish term for having a coffee together. So this team actually takes 2 hours a week off for just sitting together, bonding, having coffee together, maybe talking about the product they're developing, maybe just not. So this is really something, it's a team time where the team really chats with each other. So this is a routine that they do every week. What I did when I was a team lead for a developer team, we didn't have a big budget to send people to Summit or to other conferences. We did conference video Fridays. So Friday afternoon, everyone wants to go home, but then the last 2 hours we just spent watching a talk like this here or some other talks from other conferences. And then we sat together and discussed about it. This was also a habit that we did every Friday, and it really bonds the team. The team was looking forward to do this as a group. But then also, if you're going into routines, it could be pretty boring to have routines always. So you also should have some refreshments, right? Something that makes it fresh, so you don't just run into routines. So some refreshments, what we do at Atlassian is some getting stuff done days, for example. So really, one day we take off from work, not really from work, but we turn off our emails, we rent a meeting room, we book a meeting room for the day, sit there, turn off chat and everything, and then just getting stuff done. For example, if we want to nail the documentation, for example, then we just sit together as a team, and for one day, because everyone hates to document, just doing that as a team exercise makes it actually pretty fun experience, for example. But getting really stuff done as a team, be doing and getting stuff done days. Another thing that we regularly do is some innovation weeks. That's also some refreshments where we actually take off for 1 week. Every 6 to 7 weeks, we take 1 week off and work on small stuff, small innovation stuff that we think could work for the product, and we try it out in that week. And a lot of features from that turned actually into the product and are pretty popular. So you have a lot of features in Jira and Confluence that came actually out of these innovation weeks. And it's a team refresher. The team is working together on some innovation stuff. Also, if you want to bond the team, you should appreciate the work from your teammates. You should appreciate and say, thank you, great job. If somebody helps you to actually find the bug, you call someone over and just like, let's have a look at where the bug is, and then look at it together, and this person helps you. You should appreciate, there should be a system for appreciating others. Also for the small things, not just for the big things, but also for the real small things. And there's something that we do at Atlassian called, we give people kudos, and this is really actually a service desk where you just give someone kudos, you write something down, and then you can pick from some gift that it's just a small gift, just an Amazon gift card or an iTunes gift card or whatever you give to people, or a bottle of wine. You can pick that from a picker here. And then 2 days, you just press create, and then 2 days later, this person gets a bottle of wine on his desk and say, with a small card, say, kudos to you, thank you very much for helping Sven finding the bug. That was great. And we can give that as often as we want at Atlassian. And it's not a big deal. It's $30, so and people don't overuse that actually. Okay, and then also if you have this strong team, people are changing. Maybe people want to go away, and new people are coming into the team. So you should also think about working on your welcoming culture. That's also pretty important, that you welcome people with open arms. And I just recently started a new job, and I know how that feels, that everyone knows their shit, and I'm staying there just at the sidelines and just see the cool guys playing and say, I wanna also start and help you playing with, but I'm staying here at the sidelines. You feel a little bit alone. So what we do also at K15T now and also at Atlassian is giving people a buddy. Someone that you can go to, people that you have a good relationship to, that you can say, hey, how do you do lunch here together and stuff that helps you to getting over the first days and bond you into the team that probably say, hey, go out with the design team, for example. You can go out with the design team. They're going out every Wednesday evening. Just join them. Or we have a soccer team that meets every Thursday, so join them. So people that are long-term employees and that helps new people on board. So onboarding maybe new people is a doable task, but onboarding a new company is something totally different. And we experienced that when we acquired Trello. We knew that we have something in common, culture-wise, but you know, the Trello people are just felt like, okay, there's this big company, Atlassian, coming, and we're the small Trello guys, and what's happening now, and will they take over everything and change everything? And we said, no, we're cool people also at Atlassian, and we don't do harm to your culture. We have actually the same culture. So what we did is actually, the first day, the new Trellist came on board. We sent them a video, so some kind of a hello from Atlassian. It looked like this. Can I have some sound? Thank you.
Trello, what's up? It's Atlassian, your new friend here to share a bunch of stuff we have in common. Quite a bit. And now that we have come together, we are even more legit. Trello, good morning. We're in California, Sydney, Austin, all around the world. And just like you, we live our values. You don't do nothing, we don't fuck the customer. Seems we're in sync, so little difference between us that it feels so good to say. Trello and Atlassian, something awesome's happening.
All right, that's enough. Sorry, it's getting a little bit weird. Anyway. So the Trello people actually, they felt welcome. So like, oh, okay, they share the same values, they have fun. So that was the onboarding stuff. So okay, supportive context. How do you get? That's the third one that I want to talk about. Third ingredient for successful teams, high performance teams. How do you get supportive context from the rest of the organization? First thing is, where is the information in the organization? Where do you find the information? Well, there are different sources that you can use for finding information. Yourself, maybe you just look up on the file server where some Word documents to dive deeper into that, or spreadsheets. You can schedule one-on-ones with people. You can order some. You can invite people to meetings, or you can write some emails and get some answers back. This is all a little bit locked. I actually actively have to reach out to people to find the information. And we know, probably most of you are Confluence users, so we love intranets because all the information are just searchable. They are there, it's laying there, you can just grab it. Or also in chat rooms and chat room histories, you can see how conversations were going. And I talk a lot to customers about intranets, that they use Confluence for their intranets. And I see some patterns there. Actually, people use it to open up their own space, so their personal space and their team space, and then they're sharing some company news. But then they lock stuff down, like other teams' goals are not allowed to see, or other projects, no, we probably lock that down, also just not for you to see, or strategies or decisions. But this is really bad. because you want to find the information, you want to find the decisions that other team made. So we have this thing that we call open by default. So first, if you create a page, it is open. It is open by default. No one locks it down. There should be a good reason why you lock a page. You should work in HR and have some candidates on the page and collaborate with other people about that. That would be a reason to lock it down. Or Atlassian is a public company, so everything that is financial related, yeah, you have to lock that down. But first, everything is open by default. For example, here's Stan Pittet. He wrote an article why we developed Bitbucket pipelines at that time, and shared that with the whole company. So it was really an open thing. And then shared some links where you can dive deeper into the content. Or you can also, cool thing is you can start discussions. So I asked some questions about pipelines. And also here, allow corrections. Don't lock it down to just have people read it. Allow it also for people to write to it. Allow for corrections. You can have some info boxes where you say, okay, I know this page is outdated. Here's the new page. If it's still open, people not messing up with a page. That's not what they do. Not by purpose. So trying to build this culture of collaboration actually is pretty important. Actually, we were saying, hey, share it or it didn't happen. If it's not in Confluence, or what we call Atlassian EAC at that time, external@atlassian.com, if it's not in there, it didn't happen. Because we work remotely, we work on different offices, we work on different levels in buildings, so it should be in Confluence or it didn't happen. There's actually a term where you say, hey, there's a page for it. So there's a page for everything within Atlassian, also K15T. And this is actually also relies to the company values for Atlassian called open company, no bullshit. You probably heard that. But be careful. Be careful. It can hit back, open company, no bullshit. We had this article about bring your own device policy, and let's put it that way. This person that put the device policy together was pretty strict policy. People found that page and commented on that, and very passionate discussion. You see 211 comments on that, and just 33 people liked it. Because no one liked the policy. It was pretty strict, and people were saying, oh, I can't work anymore, that's not good, until Mike jumped in, Mike Cannon-Brooks, and said, hey, let's stop the discussion here. We hear you, yeah, and we will look at it, we will get all your feedback, thanks for the comments, get all your feedback, but this person that wrote down the policy probably interviewed a couple of people, did the best, tried to do the best job that he or she could, and please play as a team. Be constructive in your comments. Don't rant about each other. And this is another value called play as a team. And open company, no bullshit, and play as a team. These values go hand in hand. They can't live without each other. So there's another talk that I did, Create Together, Publish Better, about how you change adoption with Confluence, some cultural stuff. It already happened, but you can find it online later. Just look for it. Okay, so easy access is pretty important for getting people information, to get people running, to get support without actually asking people to support you. But sometimes you need really help. You need help from another team. You need help from the legal department to review a contract, or you need help from the IT department to get SSH access for a server. How do you do that? Well, at Atlassian, there's a service desk for everything, and there's also a service desk for getting SSH access. You don't have to know the admin's names or a phone number you have to call or an email address. No, you just fill out this ticket, and 1 hour later you have SSH access. Or even if you want to open source a library, if you're a developer and you want to open source a library, well, guess what? There's a service desk for it. I don't know who to call in legal, or if I have to involve my manager or my manager's manager. I just fill out a ticket, and then it's going its way. It's very easy. Or even if I travel to the Amsterdam office, and people that have been in Amsterdam know that you need a bike in Amsterdam. So if you need a bike, well, guess what? You fill out a ticket for it, and there's a bike reserved in the Amsterdam office. It goes so far that if you feel like, or if you see that the flash it's not working in the toilet, well, you create a ticket for it. It's a workplace ticket. You create a ticket for it, and somebody works on it. The problem is that a lot of people then says the flush is not working, so you create multiple tickets. What we do at Atlassian is just we're doing post-it with the Jira issue key on it, so people can follow it. And once the issue is resolved, we know we can go back to the toilet. The flush is working again. Anyway, if you have that many service desks, make these service discoverable. You know, it's coming out of the box for Jira Service Desk. If you want to learn more about Jira Service Desk for non-technical teams, sorry you missed it. This talk already happened from Vincent Wong, but it will be available online, so look it up online. But also these service desks means that you have to wait for others. You don't want to wait for others. You should turn as much as you can into a self-service. Yeah, a self-service. So do stuff yourself. For example, legal contract review. Well, do it yourself. Sounds scary for your legal department, but the Atlassian legal department said, if this contract is under 25K and you can answer all these questions here with no, and you press create, the contract is automatically approved. The risk for Atlassian is low, that something happens. You have read it, we trust you, and they don't have to look at all these small contracts. So this is an automatic, and they have documented it, so it's an automatic service desk for it. If you need QA for testing your features that you just developed, well, do it yourself. You test at Atlassian, the developers are testing themselves, the features that they wrote. Okay, it's a long history here, so we needed to educate the developers so they think like a tester. And then it's not just like they're testing it themselves. They do actually a QA kickoff at the beginning with the QA together, and then define some steps how to test the software. And then at the end, they're doing a demo session where the QA also is involved, showing the feature, and the QA can actually ask questions and get a demo for it. Okay, so making asking for help very, very easy. Service desk, put everything in Confluence, and then try to turn everything into self-service so people can solve problems themselves. All right, the last thing I want to talk about here is how to get a shared mindset across your team. And I'm a developer. I've experienced that too. There's always, if you discover a bug, there's always a senior developer that knows where to look at, where to deep dive into it, and know how to fix a bug. But what you want to spread the knowledge about the code base. You want to spread it over the whole team. So what we do is some other people have to fix the bugs, has to fix bugs too. So we send people on bug fix rotations. So 1 week, this developer is responsible for fixing bugs, and the other week, the other developer is responsible for fixing the bugs. That way, we spread the knowledge about on the code base across all the developers. Kind of the same thing what we do for feature development. If you have different features that different developers are developing or coding, you can feel a little bit like lonely if you develop it on your own, because you can talk to people, of course, and make decisions together with people, but developing features is a process, and there's a lot of small decisions that you have to take, and you don't want to interrupt your teammates. So what we do is we give everyone that develops a feature buddy. So this is a person that knows this feature as you know, and that you can just tap on the shoulder, ask questions. So you're not alone in this game. You can collaborate with your feature buddy. So also feature buddy gives you kind of a relation to other people, and we share the knowledge, we share the same mindset across the team. And also the designers, I told you, cross-functional teams are a thing that we do. So sharing design ideas. This is a wall in the Sydney office where designers are just putting on designs, and then you can give feedback. You see a lot of post-its. People are putting post-it in. So also developers giving feedback on the designs. So we're in this as a team. We develop the software as a team. And of course, as a developer or ops person that you're on the team, you want to give feedback. And this way, they're giving feedback. All right. So if you want to do things right? You want to do it the right way. You put processes in place. For example, code review processes. If you're a developer, you want to make sure that every line of code gets reviewed. So you put it in your code review process. Pretty much good for having a good quality in your code. for doing things right, but that doesn't move us forward. Because if we want to do the right things, that doesn't help us because we're just stuck in processes. You want to give your team learning that they should adapt to new situations, adapt to new things that are coming up. And as I said, you as a team, you have to learn how to do it your team way. As I said in the beginning, each team is different. You can be a pretty strict team, working great as a high-performance team. You can be a very chaotic team, working also great as a high-performance team. It's just like your teams are different, and we shouldn't treat teams all the same. But then at the same way, we know that some things are working for teams that has expressed themselves as this is something that works for that team. Probably it also works for the other team. So the other team should try it out and see if it works. And we had all these small little things that helps teams succeed. We collected that at Atlassian, and you probably heard about it, and then we put it into a team playbook. So these are really some plays that work for teams to succeed. We call that a team playbook. To just give you an idea what's inside the team playbook, if you haven't heard about it, if you have a problem with aligning the leadership team with the project team, they don't know what each other is doing. What we do is a play in the playbook called Demo Trust. And Demo Trust are regular meetings where you do a demo in front of the leadership team that are regular. You get they are open for everyone to join, and you get honest feedback. So this is a play in the team playbook. And then we describe it in the team playbook like, here, this is the overview here, how long it takes, how you run the play, a step-by-step guide, how to do that. Or another play, for example, is if you want to test a concept. You don't know if this will work for the users. You have just a concept in your head or on paper. Then you can do a play called concept testing. Concept testing is a play in the playbook where you say, okay, I put my designs on paper prototypes, bring them in front of users, explain, if you click here, this happens. It's just paper prototypes, so it doesn't cost anything. And then you give them stickers, red and green, and they can vote for different solutions. And actually, this is a paper prototype from Jira that they did, a concept test, and you can see like it, don't like it. So this way you can test if this resonates well with the users. And these are just two plays. There are a lot of plays in there. Some plays you probably know, like stand-ups, regular stand-ups. Some things, I don't know if you know them, like journey mapping or something like that, or storyboarding. These are all in the team playbook, and we made that online available at atlassian.com/team-playbook. Check it out if you haven't. We are constantly adding new plays in the playbook, and these are just guidelines from Atlassian teams that have worked for Atlassian teams, and also we keep adding stuff from different organizations that we have. If you want to learn more about Team Playbook, there's a session today at 2:50, right after this one here, about writing technical and non-technical, uniting technical and non-technical teams. And there's another one tomorrow, Break Down Silos with Agile and the Atlassian Team Playbook by Claire. All right, so compelling direction, strong structure, supportive context, and shared mindset are my secret ingredient for a successful team. So now you get all these ingredients and you get all this stuff, and I know there was a lot of stuff, and you're probably thinking now, so where should I start? Do I have a high-performance team already, and do I have to do anything? I don't know. Where should I start? Well, what you could do, and that's also part of the team playbook, is to run a test with your team, and we call that the team health check. And we have three different health checks for teams, so for project teams, for leadership teams, and for support teams. And I give you the 8 checkpoints for project teams here. So these are 8 checkpoints that you check, like, does your project have a full-time owner? Do we have a balanced team? Do we have a shared understanding of what goal you want to reach? Should have. What are your value and metrics? So what does success look like? Can you provide an end-to-end demo for someone that wants to see that? Do you have something for people that want to read more about this project, and what are the goals of the project, and how do you do that? And then, have you figured out all dependencies? No surprises here. Do we know that? All dependencies. And how are we doing? How is the velocity? So these are 8 checkpoints that you do with your team, and you just say thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down, and then just check it. And then you check those things over time. So you go in, do I have a full-time owner? Green, 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 green. It can, and then try to improve things in your team health. Sometimes it's going better, sometimes it's not. But you probably know where your weak points are, and this is the important thing. You know where your weak points are, and you measure it constantly and try to improve it. As I said, the health monitor is also part of the Atlassian team playbook, so check that out. So what do you need now for great teams? Of course, these ingredients, but great teams are equipped with the right tools that they can kick ass. But that's not it. It's just like giving teams tools that doesn't help. You also need some right practices, something like the plays in the playbook, or everything that I talk to your OKRs or something like that. But then also you need the right people that likes this kind of working. They want to be a high-performance team. And all this in combination makes great teams, right? So I want to thank you for your attention, and the lone genius is dead. Long live the team. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm already over time. Next speaker is staying there. So catch me, I just uncable now, and if you have questions, catch me outside of the room.